Well, statistically, there's less people in the workforce than a generation ago. And there's several reasons for the mass exodus as far as having a certain amount of people in the workforce. The first reason is the baby boomers are at retirement age. The baby boomers range between the ages of 75 to 57 as I make this video. In 2021, if you are age 57 to 75, you are a baby boomer and you are in the retirement window. Most people get ready to retire within that time frame, the end of their 50s and certainly in their 60s and 70s. So the baby boomers represent a segment of the population that were born between the 1940s and 1960s when America had above average birth rates. The middle class was growing, population was increasing, and that's why they call it the baby boomers. And now that generation is exiting the workforce, okay, and they're into retirement age, etc. Good to see you, Adam. Adam, good evening, Sam. Hope your day was good. I ended up having to do the lawn maintenance on the yard and other things. No bushcraft today. Okay, thank you for sharing. Adam is taking care of his elderly parents. They're living with him, and they're baby boomers. And there's reason number two that people are leaving the workforce is people are living with their parents longer. Okay, and so when you live with your parents and you don't have a certain economic push, and one of the basic elements of survival is provided for you, which is shelter and then food, you really don't need to leave your house other than for an adventure or vacation. So this makes people less likely to need to push themselves in the workforce. So you got the baby boomers retiring, you got people living at home longer or a combination of both. And this is part of the mass exodus in the workforce. What's another reason? The opioid crisis. Drugs started to really impact the United States of America in the 1980s. President Ronald Reagan allowed a certain amount of drug flow from South America because he wanted to fund an illegal war in South America to keep the Russians out. And a lot of drugs, mainly cocaine, the crack era started because the government funneled certain drugs. Initially, they funneled them in certain communities and then they spread out. And that was the beginning, okay, of heavy drug use in society that filtered through all corners of society. And then after that, as decades proceeded, you had prescription drug abuse because to get off these hard street drugs, quote unquote, cocaine, crack, etc., you got on some type of prescription drug to wean you off. Methadone, now whatever. There's so many different painkillers. I don't know. Opioids, basically, it's heroin, a form of heroin. Opioid, whether I don't know, fentanyl, whether Percocets, these are just opioids. There's a certain form of heroin, and so they went from having drug use begin in the country to drug use trying to get weaned off of through using a level of the same drug, just in a controlled type thing with a pill. And you have a whole generation or a certain percentage of that generation that has totally just never worked. They never will work. The opioid crisis, whether it started in the street in the crack era, heroin, cocaine, and now it's a prescription pill. Okay. What's another reason that you have less people in the workforce as we move forward in society and generations pass over? Well, the other reason would be that now with technology, now with the gig economy, now with many more opportunities than decades and certainly a century ago, some people prefer to work part-time and use the gig economy or use other methods, sharing a room in a house, And instead of starting a family and getting a house and having a job, people are doing a hybrid of things, a combination of all things that were done in the past, and they're only working part-time. And then whether they're getting a certain subsidy from the government or whether they're just able to afford their lifestyle on a part-time working basis. So if you add all these ingredients, the baby boomers retiring, the people living with their parents because they live with a baby boomer or they're taking care of them, and so there's less financial push to go out there and build your career. The opioid crisis, certainly drugs have always been around, but certainly in the 70s and in the 80s, there was a mass wave of drug addiction that swept society. And then in the 90s and 2000s, they tried to get people off that through opioids, through prescription pills, wean them off. And, that turned into, where we're at. And then again, you got the gig economy, you got entrepreneurship, you got technology, which allows so much different type of work than years past, which I thank God for. You don't have to work at a steel mill for 30 years. Who cares if you get a good pension if you waste your entire life? Certainly, you don't want to just neglect saving up for retirement, but certainly you don't want to waste your life living for retirement. So this is the breakdown of why there is an exodus in the workforce. If you appreciate this video, if it helped you, click that thumbs up. Leave a comment below. We'll get ready to go to all live comments. Twista, great to see you, brother. Shout out to you. Twista's starting a whole new generation. He's in his 20s. I don't know what that generation is called. I'm not millennial. I think I'm generation what is it? Generation X, I think. That's what I would be considered. I'm 41. So, every time period has unique circumstances. Now, as we go forward with technology, with more automation, with eventually robotics, artificial intelligence, there's going to be less need for people in the workforce. So it's not an all bad thing. Again, you don't need the same amount of workers at an automotive plant than you did 50 years ago, and that's a good thing. Again, to me, would I want to work in an automotive plant for 30 years in Detroit? No. I like to be in Florida working remote, okay, and letting the robots do that work. So, it's just where we're at in society, and it's an interesting thing to document and to share with you. You should be aware, and you should embrace this time period, understand where we're at. We're at a very key period in human history, especially in the United States of America, where generations are passing over. The baby boomers, the oldest baby boomer right now is 75. That's almost at life expectancy. The very youngest is at 57. That means they're getting ready to start retirement very shortly. And that generation will pass through. And so another generation will come over, and this is the way human history has been since the beginning of time. And because of all these dynamics we discussed, we have less people statistically, factually in the workforce. And in many senses, I think it's going to be better. Okay. I think there's going to be a better quality of life, more flexibility. Because remember, it's like for a certain generation, you were brought up, get a family, get a house, work at the same plant for 30 years. Now, obviously, it's not good if someone never works, gets addicted to drugs, and that's their whole life. I mean, so, right, there's so many different reasons, okay, why there's an exodus. I can't speak to every situation. All I can say is I've seen all these things either in my own personal life experience or with people around me. And this is just where we're at in this journey. Paula, what's up? I saw your video today. Try to stay positive. Don't complain too much, but I'm glad you got out of that Airbnb. Love and peace to you and your cat and husband, I believe. Adam, good evening, Twista. Yeah, shout out to Twista, Adam, Paula. We're on the live feed, guys. We broadcast live every night. And what I can tell you is if you want something in life, you're going to have to go out there and get it. Why? Because life doesn't come to you. Now, when you go after life, is life magical? Nothing in this world is magical, but you can make it better. That's the whole sales pitch on why you should give effort to life, because the less effort you give, the more suffering. There's suffering no matter what. Can't get around that. No problem, Paula. Shout out to you. Keep pushing forward. Stay positive. And Like I say, guys, for me, that's why I do like to live in my own space, right? Like Paula did a video about not liking an Airbnb. And I think about that now as I look at this home base, which always brings me a lot of anxiety. Uh, and it's true that commitment sucks. It steals some of your creativity, at least initially. Once you get settled in a house, you'll be okay. I know that from experience. Renting provides a great level of flexibility, no liability, but you're in someone else's space, and I don't like that. So, for me, again, what's the future for me? Well, again, I'm staying in the workforce, but I want to work remote uh, as long as I possibly can. To me, that's a major thing the rest of my life. And I don't want to buy too big a place that if something happens with my main job, I have to go back into the office if I don't want. And that's what I got to think. It's like if I get the countryside lot, God forbid, even if I get laid off and even if I need to get another corporate job, I don't need to ever go back in the office. If I buy too big a place, I'm still 41, so got to be careful. Okay, I'm not in that zone yet. I still want to build up some more investments. I still want to have some room for error, but we're close, because I could rent, and renting is my default. If I get into an emergency situation, I'm going to rent. Or another default is I'm going to get a small little travel trailer, keep this, or have a very similar car, especially now with electric cars and hybrid cars that will tow a small travel trailer. And, I would just do, campgrounds, which are getting expensive, Thousand Trails Camping Pass. But I really don't want to stay in those campgrounds anymore. But I have no problem doing it because I already did them. And I'd rather do that than an Airbnb, I think. Why? I don't know. Maybe it's psychologically, but I'd rather just be in my own car, my own RV. I don't like to be in someone else's space. Even when I stayed at the hotel, it was good for a couple weeks. But after 3 weeks, I don't like being in someone else's space. I don't know why. It's just something that I feel. So you got to know yourself. Knowing yourself is the key to all decisions. Everyone's different. So to me, I said, Sam, I'm not gonna, why waste another year? It's either home base, trailer, and rent. So we'll see. One of the issues now is inventory levels of houses are so low. They're the historically low conditions. Why? Well, because you have the baby boomers retiring and you have people inheriting money and people aren't forced to sell. And of course, the stock market's up, interest rates are low. That's a huge part of it. But what you're going to see, I'm going to upload a video about this tomorrow. You have generational wealth passing to children that probably aren't working or are not going to work after they get an inheritance. And you have some property that it's going to take a long time to liquidate because when people don't have to get rid of property or when it goes through probate, that takes years. And I think that may be a reason why the government is allowing hyperinflation, because inflation is a little bit like a tax, cost of services rise, because the government has metrics on everyone's bank account. And they know that the average person has so much in savings or whatever. And so if they know that society has enough money, then they'll let inflation run. Okay. And I can understand that a little bit, right? So if they know that there's mass destitute, then they may do the opposite. They'll try, like they did during the pandemic. They freezed in evictions. Now it's a question of, are we balanced enough? Because we went from a steady rate of growth to a rocket ship, and now it's a very inflated, unclear path we're on. Okay, so, but you best believe, when people aren't selling their houses, there's a reason. And the reason is they don't have to. The stock market's up, they inherited some money, and they're, even though they're paying property taxes and HOA fees and utility bills, guess what? Some people are so attached to their stuff, they'll pay for a storage unit even though they're not using it. So if a poor person pays for a storage unit they don't use, what do you think a person who inherit money, what do you think they're going to do with their second house? They're going to keep it. Why? At least for a long period of time, because they're emotionally attached and they're lazy. And you add all these factors, guys. You got a lot of empty houses. You got a lot of people not working. And then you got a low supply chain. And when you have low output but high demand, you have inflation. And this is just one aspect. There's many aspects of life. This is one aspect. Of course, the pandemic's part of it. But hopefully this is helping. Click that thumbs up, leave a comment. I'm live. I go live every night. You know what it is. That's the algorithm of success. Show up, find yourself, live below your means, take care of your health, physically, mentally, emotionally. Avoid situations that bring out the worst in you. You got to have boundaries in life. You got to know your limits. Okay. Because if you put anyone in a bad enough situation, they'll break. Why? Because we're all human. No matter how strong or weak we are, we're all human. Okay. And so we have to know ourselves as we get older, position ourselves properly. Okay. And because, like I always say, we need a certain amount of extra capacity to do things we don't want to do. You're delusional if you think you're going to go through life and there's things you have to do that you don't want to do. You may get to a point where you don't want to take a shower. But guess what? If you don't take a shower, if you don't do hygiene, that's not self-care. You may get to a point where you don't want to exercise. But guess what? You don't do that, you're going to feel worse about yourself physically and mentally. You may get to a point where you don't want to go to work. Now, again, if you've saved up enough and if you've done the right thing, that's good. But even if you've inherited money or you've saved up and you retired, if you don't structure your day, you're dead. You got to do something. Pay Denolan, what's up, brother? Hey Sam, what's up, my friend? Sorry I didn't respond. You just do you. He said, sorry I didn't respond the other day. I appreciate you, Peyton Nolan. You asked about my dreams. Talk to me. I'm glad you care enough to be interested. Well, Peyton Nolan, you've been a blessing to me. Like I told you the other night, I don't know if you heard, every comment you've been in here and since you've been part of the channel has been all positivity. And I appreciate that. Everyone in here, look, everyone that's still in part of the channel, I appreciate. And you guys have been very gracious, sometimes beyond gracious. So, like I say, if you're not in a reciprocal relationship, and that includes me, if you don't feel like someone does care about what you got going on, even though always be honest that everyone is a little bit serving to a certain extent. Okay, that's natural. Obviously, there's a difference between that and someone who's a backstabber and very selfish, etc. But you want to have a level of reciprocal energy exchange and interest and, inspiration exchange. Because if not, then you're in an unhealthy relationship when you're unbalanced. So talk to me, Peter Nolan. Jesse O, my first ever member, could never repair enough. Very successful person. Why? Because she's persevered even through ups and downs. And I appreciate you. And last time we spoke to her, she was looking at a $500K house. What's up, Jesse? Talk to me. She goes, sometimes I feel bitter that I am not getting any inheritance. Okay. Especially when I hear friends who are getting over 1 million in assets from their parents. She continues. The inheritance game is definitely going to tip the scales unfairly. Yeah, I mean, to a certain extent, that's always true. There may end up being some type of tax on that. But the good news is when you feel a little bit bitter, you're shopping for a 500K house. So now, like I told you, I don't know your finances. That's personal, but that's very high. Even though the average house right now in America is around almost $400,000. But let's just say, Jesse O, because I think you're single with no pets, no kids. Let's say you bought a 250K house. Let's say you cut that in half. If you're even looking and if you could afford a 250K house, you're doing better than a lot of people. Why do I say that? Because that'll keep you from being bitter. Like sometimes I get bitter. It's, oh man, inflation and, low inventory, they're screwing me. Here I am. I'm living below my means. I'm sacrificing. I'm living in a vehicle for 4 years for the right opportunity. But then I said to myself, look, I know I still have it better than most. I know I was born with a certain level of ability. I know I put in the work to refine it. That's why I never apologize for it. But I understand human life. I know people that are on disability now, and even though the drugs may have escalated a certain level of dysfunction, they were always a certain way. For me, I remember people when I was very young, and people at the core were pretty much are who they are. Now, obviously, you can make your life better or worse. Through substance abuse and through laziness, you can make your life worse. Through diligence and through self-improvement, you can make your life better. So the bottom line is, even though we all have to swallow a bitter pill to be in a first world country, to have a level of ability, we're blessed. And I'm thankful. My man, Journeywood Jordan, from Naples to Tennessee, either one has no state income tax, so you can't be mad at that. And he hit him with the biggest lesson I preach on this channel: self-care. Self-care for the win. He goes, show up every day, stay single. Well, no matter who you are that watches this channel, self-care is 100% applies to you all the time, every day, the rest of your life. Like I said, even if you retire and you get out of the workforce, you got a full-time job. What is it? Self-care. What's self-care? Wake up on time, eat a healthy breakfast, exercise. Even if you don't go to work, you should do something productive. What's productive if you don't have work? Wash your laundry, clean your house, maybe volunteer, maybe do a side job, something that you're passionate about, whatever. And then don't take a nap. And then what else? Well, let's see, if you wake up early and you exercise and you do something productive, even if it's volunteering or just doing a passion job that don't get paid much, and you don't take a nap, and you eat at regular intervals, and you go for a walk at night, by the time the end of the night comes, you're tired as hell. You lived a full life. If you live that right way through self-care, 80 years is enough on this earth. If you take naps, if you sleep, if you abuse drugs, I'll tell you right now, life will fly by. To me, life dragging ass. But that's how it should feel. I feel exhausted already at 41. Okay. That's how you should feel. You should feel empty when you leave this earth. You should be like an empty stick of toothpaste that a cheap bastard squeezes out. You should not be like a storage unit, someone who doesn't work that still keeps a storage unit and is in low income. You shouldn't be like a storage unit, a bunch of stuff never used. Guys, that's not life. So shout out to you. And you mitigate risk through staying single. And if you show up, even if you don't get to the highest level in the workforce, you got a direct deposit. And when in doubt, direct deposit. Why? Hey guys, it's just a better quality life. Thank you, Journey with Jordan. My man Paid Nolan, we're back. He goes, he's about to articulate his dream. Get your notepad, you know what it is. He goes, my dream is to make music as a profession. Okay, that is a passion that could produce an income, but it's a very high risk, low likelihood. So you got to remember to mitigate that risk. As an example, my mother loves singing, okay, but not easy to make a full-time living off singing. So what'd she do? She raised 3 kids. She worked at supermarkets, Dairy Queen, and then she eventually became like a secretary in an office. But on the weekend, she sung at church. Why? And she did make some money on the side. Why? Because it was her passion. So even if you have to work a regular job in the workforce, you can still do your passion. You can still sing on the side. And if you mitigate your risk and if you stay single, and if you're wise with your money, you may be able to retire early and delegate all your time and your resources to singing. So he goes, he wants to professionally sing. But lately, my dream is turning into just wanting to be happy. Well, hey, that's why self-care is number one. It's the number one part of my channel. I got over 3,000 videos. Self-care is at the core of all of them. Because even if you make mistakes in life, if you're taking care of yourself, you got the foundation. And that's, drop a gem on him emoji. Wandering Off, a.k.a. Aline, great to see you. We're interacting live right now. Let's talk about it. She goes, hey, Sam, what's up? Great to see you, and thank you for your love and support. When are you going back to Florida? Excellent question, because my soul is dying, even though I love spending time with my mother. I bet you miss it. I really do, Eileen. Thank you for asking. I think it may be this Friday, at the very latest, the following Friday. I want to get the most out of my time here, which I'm trying to do, but it's at the end now. So either this Friday or next Friday. And I want to really get into the home base mode. I want to, I got 2 home base options right now. I was thinking of making an offer. It's still on the table, and just make it contingent upon my walkthrough inspection, because I'll be in Florida within 15 days, God willing. Because I know both communities, and I'm thinking if I go super cheap and I get a home base, even though I may not appreciate, I'll never have to really worry about anything, as long as I can get any job. If I buy a thing that's $50,000, an RV lot, countryside, like I say, I'm 41. I couldn't fully retire. Even if I got laid off from my corporate job, I still want to build up my nest egg for the future. I still want health care. I'd have to, even if I pay for it myself. So, but if I had to, If I got the countryside lot, I could DoorDash and YouTube and maybe some investments if a cherry on top, and I'd be able to live the rest of my life like that. But I know as I get older and older, I'm not going to want to DoorDash all the time. And YouTube can go away at any time. So you always want to be mindful. And I got such a resume now that I wouldn't want a big empty pocket in my thing. If, again, this is if something happened to my main job. Look, I would love to ride my main job out as long as I can, but I'm always hedging my bets. Why? Because I've been laid off in life. I know nothing's guaranteed. So, like I say, my main criteria at this point in my life is to work remote. If that went away, then I make different decisions. But I either I could get another remote job, and if I had to, I know certain companies in Florida that I could commute to. Because wherever I pick a home base, I'm hedging my bet that, because I've already done the research, that if I lost my main job and I couldn't work remote, that one is I could afford the recurring fees, the property taxes, the HOA and the electric bill. I could afford that even on DoorDash and YouTube. And investments are just cherry on the top if they work out. But if I still felt I wanted to get that corporate to build up my Social Security, I will buy a home base within an hour of where I would get a job. And I know a certain few places that I could get a job, God willing. So you got to think all this. Why? Guys, as much as people love you, I know what life is. If the executives say we got layoffs, and if you happen to be one now, look, I think I'll do good output. I think I'll be one of the last ones. But I'm not entitled to nothing. Okay. So I design my life around an adult that I hope I ride this out forever. But if I don't, I don't want to wait till I'm 60, 70, 80 to live where I want to live. That was my whole point of selling my house. My whole point staying in my car in New Jersey. And it's my whole point now of being willing to buy a home base, because I don't want to travel around the country. I'm done traveling. I want to get to Florida and only leave in a hurricane, and have a flexibility to leave in the fall if I wanted to. Definitely see my mother every year, but also to have a place for her to live if, God forbid, she ever got to the point where she couldn't live by herself. And that's one of the reasons why, people aren't working. They got to take care of their parents or whatever. So hopefully that gave you some extra insight on that. Great question. Great to see you. I appreciate all my members. Shout out to you. You know what it is. Let's go. Next comment, Jesse. Hey, I am a single female. You're killing it out there. You're looking at a $500K house. Cut that in half. Buy you 20 dildos. Trade your stocks with only 1/3% of your net worth. Enjoy your Starbucks. Live where you're inspired. I know you're up north right now. As soon as you can, get back down south. And you are a smart woman. And not only are you smart because you've been humbled, you went through bankruptcy, you have tenacity. That, I'm sure that was like a divorce. It's like a death. But many successful people, Dave Ramsey, Donald Trump, 50 Cent, they all went through bankruptcy. And guess what they did? They persevered. And that's what you're doing. You never really come in here about no sad story. You come in here about moving forward pretty much. And like I say, I got nothing but respect for you, Jesse. There's a lot of very intelligent women that are on this channel, and I don't pander. I tell you straight up, you guys know what it is. We had some delusional women, of course, just like we had delusional men. But what I want to tell you in 2021, where your manager, your director, your CEO may be a woman, I say, praise the Lord. That's awesome. It's, to me, look, it's a blessing in many ways to live in this time in history, where there are opportunities, no matter your gender, race, religion, more than any time in the past. And it's only getting better. So is that positive? I think that's very positive. So why are people leaving the workforce? Well, again, you got the baby boomers retiring. You got people living at home, so they don't really need to make too much money. And you got people working part-time because of that need. So, it's like they're working, but they're not working at full capacity. And you got the opioid crisis, which wiped out a certain percentage of a generation. So you add all those things up, what do you have? You have the current state of statistics that there's less people in the workforce than a generation ago. Back to this live comment. Jesse says she's a single female by choice. I like that. I can only speak for me, she goes, but I feel women need more savings to feel safe. I'm not mad at that. I'm very similar to that because I probably have too much in savings, especially at the rate of inflation right now. I am nowhere near 1 million. That's okay. I want to make it a reality. Hey, look, if you have 100 grand in the bank, that you're in an awesome position. I mean, top 25% of society. If you have $10,000 in the bank, you're doing great. Probably better than 30 to 50% of society. If you have above 50 grand in savings, again, doing great. So, if you're doing bad, you have less than $3,000 in savings. Okay. Uh, have I been there? Yeah. What did I do? I just kept working. So sometimes even when I get like, who said that? Who was talking about being bitter? Was that you, Jesse? Yeah, that was you. Sometimes I feel the same way, and I have to wake myself up. And I said, Sam, you got a lot to be thankful for. Sometimes I get anxious about a home base and I miss out, and I say, Sam, I'm so fortunate. But I put in the work, so I'm not going to apologize. But I also thankful, humble. Okay. I saw someone today with one leg walking with like crutches. I'm thankful. So I can't be thankful for people because that's their job. Not your job to take on all the sadness of the world. But being thankful is a good start to keep you focused. There's always going to be some people never happy with you, even when you're thankful and humble, because they're manipulators. That's who they are. They like to pull on your strings to control you. Why? Usually they're lazy and abusive. Takes two to tango. Somebody commented on my video about Gabby, the girl who it looks like she died at the hands of domestic dispute. But one is there's still not facts, and the guy's still not charged with it, even though he's missing too. I mean, it looks like that, but there's no facts. And people are just making assumptions. The only facts we know was that Gabby admitted on a police cam that she hit the guy, that she abused. It takes two to tango. So, again, did he do it? It looks like he did, but we don't have the facts. The only facts we know is that they were both playing a part of this abusive relationship. Because it takes two to tango in any dysfunction. In most instances, unless you're abducted. Does that make that right? No, not. Guys, two wrongs don't make it right. But what I want to tell you, if you find yourself in that situation, move, leave, never go back, because it doesn't get better. Back to these live comments. She goes, I was reading that. Yep, you want that 1 million. That's a great goal, as long as you're enjoying life as you go. Like I said, you don't want to wait till you're 60 to move to the beach. Why? Because then you're going to have a bad knee. But you also don't want to look at the stock ticker all day in your 40s, because then you miss the prime of your life. Allocate a certain amount of time for work, for investments, for your passion, and for your fun. Because if you're watching a screen of Bitcoin all weekend, but you haven't gone outside, you haven't enjoyed your life, you lost a day. If you lose a day, you lose your life, because you've created a routine. Your life is your daily routine. You got to control yourself. Let's take a hydration break. Leave a message, guys. We're live. We're interacting. You know what it is. There's no blue wrenches in here. It's just interaction. Yeah, man, those temperatures are dropping. And even when it's sunny up here, because it's been sunny, there's no humidity, not like Florida. And so, I feel like I'm getting a cold because it's not a sauna. It's like a stingray heat. I hate the up north weather, man. I really do. I don't want to live up north, even with fall weather, man. Nope, don't like it. Back to these live comments. My guy Twister. He goes, I'm scared about the career expo. It's normal. You're going to be scared starting a new job, applying to a job, even going to the same job when you have a big project. What should you do? Show up. Why? Because what you're going to realize is the monster is not that scary, and there's going to be a lot of people that call out throughout your career, and you're going to move up because people call out and people drop out. And before you know it, you're the only one left in the workforce. And before you know it, you moved up 2-3 notches just by showing up. Like my man Journey Wood Jordan said, self-care number one, show up number two, and if you stay single, you're going to kill it out there. I'm scared that if I don't get anything, I'll be back at ground zero depression. No, you won't. If you don't get anything, you should already be, in my opinion, you should already be applying to a security job at CB Richard Ellis, any entry level job at John LaSalle, any engineering firm, okay, that Kelly Services, any engineering firm that's by you in whatever area you're at, you should be applying to them already. And you should, while you do that, you should be applying to a job for Starbucks. Why? Because you should be developing your muscles on changing companies. Because when you go from Dunkin' Donuts to Starbucks, it's going to make your muscles of adapting grow. You're going to have to deal with new people, new processes, and you need to see that before you go to the big leagues. So, like I say, your time at Dunkin' Donuts runs its course. If you keep milking that cow and flirting with that new girl, you already figured out how to make hazelnut coffee in Dunkin' Donuts. Now, you got to figure out how to make a frappe. You got to figure out how to apply to these other jobs on LinkedIn and follow up. Get the HR number and follow up and build a relationship with someone in HR. Okay. I got a relationship with someone in HR right now in Florida. So you always got to have relationships. Why? Guys, this is part of business. Okay. And if you think someone on a business trip working at the expo who's flying coach, staying at a dirty ass Hilton, watching free porn and running up a dinner on the company credit card, if you think they care more about your career than you've been drinking too much Dunkin' Donuts, man. You've been doing too much light and sweet. What I want to tell you is you should be watching videos about how to work at Starbucks, how to apply for jobs, and you should just be going on LinkedIn, doing it, following up, call the HR department. How do you build a resume? Have you wrote your resume? Have you submitted it? Have you talked to HR? There's no depression is you got too much time on your hands. In your 20s, you should be doing so many hustles, because I also should add, you should be doing DoorDash on the side. You should be filling your time and figuring out, you got to throw a lot of things at the wall when you're figuring out life in your 20s until something sticks and then you build. But there ain't no time for depression when you're healthy. You're trying to move up and you got the skill set, you got the positive attitude, you got the track record that you can show up. You got what it takes. But you also have to develop yourself. It's not going to just happen. You have to research. You got to push yourself, and you'll get a little bit lucky, because the harder you work, the luckier you get. You got to start reading books, reading shit online. Okay. And forming these relationships. Okay. And building your career muscles, which is changing jobs at certain points, not all the time. Good job. Twist up. I'm planning on giving it an absolute all, Sam. Nah, you're hustling backwards. The job expo should not be your absolute all. You should be all the things I just said. Refining your resume, sending out jobs now. Remember, guys, the job expo, all it is a carnival for jobs. I rather go directly to the job. It's just a middleman. And I'm not saying you can't run into something great, but I think you're putting the career expo on a pedestal. It's like that new chick that you got working on Dunkin' Donuts. You put her on a pedestal just because she was nice to you. You should respect her. You should respect the career expo, but don't put her on a pedestal. You got to do what you got to do. You got to have your own life. You can't just be happy if you're working the same shift as the girl. You can't just be happy if the job expo, if the career expo gets you a job. So you already told me you're going to be depressed if they don't change your life. That's not good. I understand. I empathize. I know I'm talking rough. I know I'm a 41-year-old man, and I empathize when you're in your 20s. You haven't developed yet. So, Twister, I'm talking to you like an adult. Because based on your track record, I think you can understand what I'm saying. I think you're a superstar. And I'm telling you this in love and in respect. That career expo is for people who can't get a job on their own. And we all need help. So I got help getting a career job when I was in my 20s. But in my 20s, in my later 20s, I got out of construction into technology on my own. I applied to a job. I never worked with anyone at that job. I applied online. I remember buying my first laptop for $1,500 on a credit card. I was broke. And applying for that job. Okay. Leaving a pension, leaving a career. Everyone said, man, if you worked I said, nah, I'm good. Okay. I'm good. I got my certification, my journeyman certification. I got my electrical license. I'm good. I don't want to work construction the rest of my life. Okay. You say, well, hey guys, look, you got to figure out your own life. I'm talking about mine. And I'm talking about I applied to a job I didn't know anyone. I had a mentor in my life. We talked about it. I had a couple options. He said I would go with the one with the technology because that's the future. Because I could have worked at a hospital as like a maintenance electrician. He said, no, go with the technology company. And then I went there, didn't know anyone. I built relationships. And then 3 years later, I applied to a different job with a different company. I didn't know anyone, but I came to find out later on, one of the managers I worked at this new job knew someone over there. And that played a part in addition to me presenting myself and going for it, of me getting it. So you won't know everyone all the time. And you're going to need help. I got help, but you're also going to need to apply yourself. I did that. Good job. Peyton Ohm. I know it's a long shot. So it's surviving a brain aneurysm and getting shot in the head with a BB gun. God bless. Pellet is still in dead center of my brain. God bless. Still hopeful though. No, you should keep your hope. You should sing. Singing should be part of your daily routine and your weekend hustle. But also should be working. Why? Because you think you can sing your heart out when you're dead broke? You think you can sing your heart out when you haven't self-care and you've been taking a nap all day? You got no creativity. Creativity flows out of self-care. You show me someone who's been sitting around all week waiting to sing. I'll show you someone who's off key, who's out of shape, and they ain't going to be able to sing worth a lick. I want to tell you, in this world, you can end up like R. Kelly. I went to an R. Kelly concert, great people. And what I can tell you is, I am now richer than R. Kelly, and I'm freer than R. Kelly. R. Kelly's locked up, dead broke. Why? Singing is not enough in life. Okay. Singing's not enough in life. You got to work on self-care. And you got to have other hustles. How do you think R. Kelly felt when he was doing Trapped in a Closet and his singles weren't pushing? You don't want to get stuck. What happens if you lose your voice? 4 sources of income. 4 hustles. Even if it's not about the money, it's about using your time. There's only so much you can sing in one day. I know, my mom was a singer. I grew up with a singer. If you sing all day, your voice will be stripped. An hour a day is probably max you should sing on a regular basis. So what are you going to do with 23 other hours? Nap? And so what I would tell everyone out there is that you should go after your dream, whether it's to sing, paint, be a rich trader, whatever, but you should mitigate your risk. You should do that while you do something else, because that's life. Okay. And look, if you got no pets, no kids, and you're paying for your own, you're living on your own, just sing. If that's making you money. But if you're destitute, you got to think about it. Okay. That's all. Twist up. You make all sense, Sam. Your night, you're right. No matter what goes down, it doesn't make a difference to be depressed. Nah. Yeah, if that's going to cause you to be depressed, this world's going to kick the shit out of you, man. Because I tell you, that's what happens in life. I will continue striving forward. There you go. That's all I want to hear. Because if you think one day you won't go into Dunkin' Donuts or whatever job you're working for, one day the manager will love you, next day they hate you, you haven't experienced life. If you don't think that you can be laid off like this, you haven't experienced life. If you don't think you need to do multiple things in life, develop yourself, go after what you want, no one wants what you want like you, then your whole life you're going to be waiting online for someone else to serve you. I was waiting online today in Walgreens. I had to pick up something. And the lady on the counter was taking her time, yapping away with the cash register, yapping away all day. I was trying to be patient. There was other older lady in front of me. I felt bad for her because she couldn't stand up that long. So after about 5 minutes of yap, 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 I'm sitting there like this. And the old lady looks at me. I said, I know, it's nuts. I said a little loud so the lady could hear. But this lady who was talking in the line, she was totally oblivious to anyone else but her. And then guess what she said she did for a living? She was a nurse with regards to mental health. I had someone on my channel talking about she was a psychiatrist in a mental health ward. Told, cuckoo. Yeah, it's true. So I said, guys, the blind leading the blind when you locked up in a mental ward. Okay. And that's fact because they're holding up the CVS line. Okay. They're giving inadequate care. Their comments are all over the place. They date someone who's more delusional than them. Cops are getting called on accident or on purpose. It's a total 5-alarm fire at their house every day. It's pretty wild. And that's why I tell you guys, be careful. Okay, because that's this world. Early riser. I strained or pulled a muscle in the side of my back yesterday. I'm sorry to hear that I've been through that. Couldn't ride my bike today. That's a very humbling thing when you hurt your health. So I went for a walk. Walking is the best, healthiest, safest thing you can do in most instances. And did some stair walls. Well, amen to that. And that's why I moved to South Florida. Why I want to be able to walk outside. Now, when I lived in New Jersey, I walked around in Walmart. I walked around in the office at lunch. I did what I had to do. So there's no excuse. Walking is the best thing for you. And look, I saw that one lady today walking with one leg. And there was some sloth taking a nap with 2 legs. Go figure life out. So I want to tell you, when I've been humbled a little bit with strained muscles, with nerve damage, man, I said, man, this is the most important thing, no doubt. Health. Okay. Health drives everything. Even like Peyton Owens said, some crazy shit happened to him. Aneurysm, BB gun. And look, again, you're still here. Sing your heart out. Do what you got to do. But every day, you should do what you love. But every day, you're going to probably have to do something you don't want to do. I did that today. Every day, you're going to do something you don't want to do. And the good news is, if you stay in the workforce, you build up your career, and you create other side hustles, the older you get, the less you have to do things you don't want to do, the more you can do what you want to do. And that's almost like a retirement. But even when you're fully retired and you're out of the workforce, if you don't structure your day and do stuff and push yourself and do things you don't want to do, you're going to sleep too late. You're going to have laundry that needs to be done. You're going to have a storage unit you haven't visited. And you're going to feel older than you are. Not be happy with life. You got to put a demand on your life a little bit in a healthy, positive way. Idle time's devil's playground. Got to manage your time, structure your day. Because even if you do the Exodus, and I hear Bob Marley live in Boston in 1974, he did Exodus, great song. Check it out on YouTube. Bob Marley, guys, is dead. Died of cancer, I believe, in a hospital in Miami. Bob Marley, R. Kelly. People at the top went to the bottom. Like Nas also said, the King of New York stuff, it only lasts 15 minutes. Everyone gets burnt, but it's what you did with it. Okay. Twista, hey Sam, I have to go a little bit early. Do what you got to do. But we'll definitely finish later. I appreciate you. Thank you, Sam. Love you. Loved you too. Fire emoji. Heart emoji. Early riser. Sam, I was in the store the other day. I could tell employee wasn't interested in helping me. I had a couple of things I needed. He didn't seem interested. I just kept being polite. Good job. Got what I needed and left. That's a good job. Why, early riser? What would have happened if you would have got difficult with him? Do you think you would have changed the mind of an employee if you would have got more upset with them? If you reprimanded someone working at the store, do you think they would have said, oh, you know what? You're right. Thank you for correcting me. Nope. The sign of maturity is saying, thank you for correcting me. I tell you right now, not too many people are going to do that. You know what they're going to do? They're going to get nasty with you. You know, they probably got less to lose than you. $15 an hour, $20 an hour, whatever. And here you are, maybe you're doing a great job in life and you expect other people to do a great job. And you're going to destroy your life because someone didn't want to show you where the NyQuil was in CVS? Yeah, that'll happen. So what do you have to do if you're going to be wise in this world? Walk away. Like you said, navigate. You figured out how to do it anyway, and then get out of there. You want to be a navigator, not a bulldozer. If you would have tried to bulldoze through that guy or girl, it would have been a disaster for you and them. But you used wisdom. What's wisdom? You checked your emotions. You thought about, was that really going to get me? It ain't going to make them change, and it ain't going to get your shit any quicker. So you calculated your decision, and you made the right calculation. You said, you know what? Even though I don't like this and I'm right, the best thing for me to do is find it myself or ask someone else and get the fuck out of here. And that's what you did. Thumbs up to you emoji. You just dropped a gem on them. You led by example. Okay. But I'll tell you right now, when money's tight, okay, and that'll be the straw that breaks the camel back. You ain't making no money singing. You ain't making no money selling hot dogs, or you ain't making enough. And then you're working hard to make very little money, and then someone doesn't give you good service, you blow your lid. Why? Because you got less to lose now than them. Because you're like, shit, I'm working twice as hard, and I'm making just as much or less than them. I'm going to give them a piece of my mind. And now you destroy your life. This is why you need to live below your means and you need to have other source of income. Why? Because you can destroy your life off one moment, and that's all it takes. And it's not easy. Because as you get older, you don't want to deal with too much shit. But no matter who you are in life, you got to deal with some shit. Why? Life is a porta potty. Okay. And no matter how rich you are, you got to use the bathroom. Okay. And no matter how poor you are, you got to use the bathroom. So what does that tell us? There's going to be dookie if you're rich or poor. It's true. And what else does it tell us? If you run out of toilet paper and you go to the store and the person working at the store for $15 an hour doesn't know where the toilet paper is, but you think they should know because it's their job and you get in a fight with them, you may not go home to take a dookie. Why? Because the fight over toilet paper was more intense than your ability to navigate around them. And that happened during the pandemic. There's some people who went totally psychopath. I heard someone today, an older lady, said she almost committed suicide during the pandemic. And she's got money. She's been retired for years. David, what's up, brother? The rain was a bit of an issue today. You ain't gonna sell no hot dogs if it's raining. Was busy for 3 hours. Then it was nonstop rain. Yep. Just get ready. The big chicks and the big people, they getting ready to hibernate once you hit November. So, make that money now. You got a few more weeks of good weather. Once December comes, everyone wants greasy soup, lasagna, and all the fat people make the same pledge every year. After the holidays, I'm going to go on a diet. I'm going to detox. I'm going to yoga. And what I could tell you is after the holidays, there's going to be another excuse. There's going to be another supplement. Do I blame them? No. I have family members my whole life struggle with weight. I struggled with weight. But what I want to tell you is I also made that mental note, okay, that in this world, you're always going to have to eat. And food costs more than anything else. And I think at minimum, people spend $20 a day in food, max 50. So that's either $600 a month or $1,500 a month. Now, some broke people say that's crazy, that's too much money. Well, they also have EBD cards. So they don't know what the true cost is because some of the stuff they don't pay for. So the truth is that if you're not getting free food and you're not getting subsidized food, you're going to spend at least $500 to $1,000 a month in food. Okay. And if you're not doing that, guys, you're going to be so undernourished and you're going to be working harder to save money on food than you would if you worked a little bit extra. You'd have more money for food and save some. You know, the ultimate deception, guys, is let me do less and try to save. Look, you can save some. Certainly, I was living way above my means at times. Certainly, you can make more money. But look, guys, there's only so much you can save. Okay, as far as like trying to you can't cut your way to prosperity to a certain degree. Now, look, you can cut your expenses like I did. Keep your job and pick up side jobs. You get ahead. But like I say, the ultimate trick is people, they cut their expenses and then they cut their job. And then they don't get ahead. Now, maybe they don't care if they get ahead. That's their right. They should have a channel about not getting ahead, just getting by. God bless them. There's some people do that. So I'm not responsible for everyone, either are you. What are you responsible for? Your life and how you want to live your life. Whether you want to sing, dance, draw, or work construction. Did I want to work construction? No. Why? Why'd I do it? To get ahead. Why'd I leave it? To go to the next level. Why do I do side hustles? To follow my passion. So look, you got to do sometimes what you don't want to do to get where you want to get. And the more you do that, the luckier you get, the more opportunity. And this is life. I hope this video helped you tonight. If it did, click that thumbs up. If you haven't, thank you to all my members. Thank you, David, Early Riser, Twister, Payda Nolan, Wandering Alina. It was great to see you. My man Journey with Jordan, Tennessee's in the house. Jesse O, my first ever member. Paula, who had a bad Airbnb experience. And Adam, he kicked off the live feed today. So what we did, guys, we showed for another hour. Okay. A lot of people took a nap for an hour today. Okay, and they got a lot of dreams, but that's all they are is dreams because they nap. Okay. In reality, if you stay awake all day and you manage your time, your dreams can become a reality, and 80 years is enough. But if you take a nap and you don't manage your time and you don't work, you're going to get to 80 and you're going to say, oh man, there's so much more I want to do, guys. You know, look, again, teach their own, and everyone has their own circumstance, but I'm trying to at least bring home the point. Go out there, do what you need to do. Because if there's a lot of people leaving, that means there's a lot of opportunity for those who want it. Never been more opportunity for those who want it. And for those who are unwilling to go after opportunity, remember, opportunity comes disguised as work. Never forget it. Yeah. Opportunity doesn't come disguised as a nap. Never forget it. So when you get comfortable with that, you'll start. And then when you get tired of that, you'll responsibly transition to more passions. And if you don't get any of that, you're just going to drag ass through life. And at the end of the day, look, it is true. I guess we're all share the same fate. We're all going to die. But again, to me, the sales pitch is not, I can't guarantee an afterlife. I hope there's one, a positive one. But all I can guarantee based off my life experience, as much as you can guarantee anything in this world, is that on average, there will be less suffering the more effort you put into your life. on average. The more effort you put in getting away from unhealthy relationships and getting into the workforce, your life will get better. If you get out of the workforce and stay in unhealthy relationships, your life will get worse, more suffering. There's some people, guys, they create their own hell. And if you didn't hear anything I said tonight, you heard that at the 1 hour mark. Okay? Because I put in that work. And by the grace of God, number one, even though sometimes I curse God, I try to share that with you guys because that's life. Okay? But I try to stay positive. Okay? I try to do what I need to do. I'm thankful for what I have. I can't understand everything. And I just avoid people and things that are just negative for me. And that's what you should do. Okay. Early riser. Yep. On average, I agree with you there. I also agree how important consistent self-care is. If you're fully retired, you still have a full-time job. What is it? Self-care. And for those who are not trained in that way, there's gonna be a lot of suffering. Because I can't say, me personally, I can't say that I know anyone that is living their best life if they're not practicing self-care. I know loving people, like my mother, that's a loving person. I love her, but she has more suffering sometimes because of less self-care. And I'm not going to try to change her. She's, in her 70s, but I would definitely say, some of that hurts her, and some of it is living with people. Some of it is eating a certain way. But again, I'm not going to try to change anyone. I'm just sharing my opinions. Jesse, these jobs want full COVID vaccines. Yeah, well, the public schools wanted measles vaccines, polio vaccines. So this is just nothing new under the sun. And 5 days in the office. People getting too smart. They want remote and freedom. Yeah, like I say, guys, it's not easy to get a remote job, but it's easier than it's ever been. It took me several years. And I believe, and the reason I was even able to get it was because I spent 10 years with the same company and I proved myself. So, I showed up during major events when other people didn't want to. I had consistently good yearly reviews. All that matters. Good references, all that matters. So some people say, oh, I want to make money. I want to work remote. Well, work for the same company for multiple years. Do a good job, get good reviews. Go to work when you don't want to work, and you'll eventually get it. And if you don't want to do that, then guys, have a YouTube channel. Complain, bitch, moan. Make nothing on YouTube. Never go after your dreams. Stay in the same area that you hate. And bitch and moan and watch politics and blame politicians. Yeah, that's the way to go. A lot of people following that algorithm. Fuck that. Early riser. I have so many friends I grew up with that don't practice self-care. Most of society don't do that. I am still respectful. I don't disrespect anyone, guys. Yep. I just keep it moving. But I don't want to hang around them. That's self-respect, not disrespect. Never forget it. Hal, that's my guy. Yo, Sam, what's up, brother? We passed fully the VP of company. That's your audit talk. I worked for and took us out to a nice Brazilian steakhouse. Shout out to that. In the city. I love it. They offered me an Uber home and back to the city this morning to get my car. That's awesome, man. Just in case I drank too much. That's respect. Reciprocal energy. I only got 2 glasses of Henny. Well, hey, you know what it is. You get pulled over 1 glass of Henny, if you breathe in that thing and it's too much, you destroy your career. So they showed you respect and love by offering you the Uber. And anytime you have any drink of alcohol in today's society where there's Ubers, Lyfts, etc., don't even think about driving. Why? You could destroy your life. Almost happened to me when I was young. And I said, let me get the hell out of this algorithm. How I still wanted to be professional. Yeah, I don't drink any alcohol anymore. But you're doing the right thing. And like I say, you put in the work. A lot, like you say, you got that one friend, even though he may be working out, the guy is like, he didn't go after it the way you went after it. So, eventually you'll get moved up in some capacity if you stay consistent and you stay on a certain direction. And some people will say, oh, I want to do that. I want to do this. Well, remember, they didn't go through the audit. Remember, they didn't work 7 days straight to clean up the hospital prepared for the audit. Remember, they didn't sacrifice. And so that's just one example out of many that you're going to go through. So, don't never feel entitled, never feel prideful, always be humble, but never feel guilt tripped for moving up if you do what you need to do. How? I feel so appreciated. That means you're in a healthy relationship. The hotel never made me feel that way. That's why I told you, don't go back that way. Why? Because it's like if you break up with someone and they dumped you and you never really felt like they appreciated you, even if they gave you a better blowjob, because you told me maybe they paid you a little bit more. You don't want to go back to them just because they deep-throated you. You want to stay where it's healthy. Why? A blowjob is 1% of the relationship. And there's many people, they go back to a relationship for lust or for drug use. They share the same passion for drugs or the same passion for lust. And what they're going to find is using drugs is 1% of the day. 99% of the day is just leading up to that. And same thing with sex. It's 1% of the day, 99% of the day just leading up to that. And if that's what you base your life on, guys, life going to kick your fucking ass, man. And life hard enough. To me, shooting a fair one with life, and life ain't fair, we know that. Guys, that's going to take all your energy. That's self-care. Self-care is like you're shooting a fair one with life. When you ain't doing self-care, you get knocked on your ass every day, man. Forget about throwing a blow. You better just hope you don't get knocked the fuck out. So, there's a lot of people that got knocked out in the workforce, guys. They just staying on the ground. I always tell you guys, if you have any incentive in life, why should you get up? Because if you stay down, the world keep kicking you. Inflation keep kicking you. You keep waiting and praying for some magical crash where everyone be equal. They thought that was going to be the coronavirus. Shit more inflated than ever. So, take it easy. Hey, what's up, brother? Shout out to Canada. You know what it is, Tony. All the MILFs, they love it, and I respect them. And all the psychopaths wished, that I gave out blue wrenches. But we don't do blue wrenches over here, Tony. We don't do counseling sessions. Why? Because, Tony, what will a therapist never say to their patient? You can come home with me. And if a therapist don't take you home with them, either do I. Never forget it. Boundaries like a mug. Tony, Big Tony is still getting up every day. You're killing it. And showing up no matter what. Brother, I know that you got that fight. There's been a couple times I know you were getting hit with a two-piece and you would leave a comment because I got love and respect, man. You support the channel. You've been here a long time now. And I know you don't come in all the time, but you check in. And I know, like you said, I could tell like I'm getting beat up, but you're still in there fighting. Not giving up. And you always told me, you said, Sam, you blessed me. You told me show up. I said, this guy's listening. All the way from Canada. This guy's listening. And so, Tony, I tell you, like I tell everyone, you may not need me anymore. I think you got the message. Do I appreciate you coming in? Hell yeah. Do I appreciate who you are as a person? Hell yeah. Do you owe me anything? Hell no. You did the work, but I appreciate all the things you've shared and all the support you've given. And I know you get it. I know life ain't easy. I know everyone's got their own battles. You can only do what you can do. You're not God. You didn't create the world. You can't take all the sorrow on in this world. It's not your job. That's God's job. You can't do all that shit. What are we talking about now, guys? I'm exhausted. I feel like I got a fever. It's getting cold. I don't feel tropical at all. I feel like I lost all my pineapple juice. It's dry as fuck right now. I hate sun without humidity. And there's a light rain. The only hope is Florida is within 15 days. Tony, I want you to pray for me, brother, and everyone who's listening to my voice right now that has a level of faith. I want you to pray for me. Pray that the Lord give me the strength to get the right home base because I'm burnt out. I need some balance. And I got to figure it out that I do the home base in a way where it's wisdom, it's below my means, and it provides this balance. It's a very scary thing. And so pray for me, brother and sisters out there. Anyone listening to my voice, thank you. Tony was knocked down in the 4th and 5th rounds. Okay, there's 12-round fight, though. but he got up both times. I like that. And now is dominating. All right, don't get too cocky. The eighth round, I like it though. And this fight called life. Amen. Amen, brother. Look, at the end of the day, we all get knocked into retirement. But at the end of the day, if you fight the right way in life through self-care and other healthy habits, 80 years enough, man. Look, you want to live longer than 80, maybe you will, maybe you live less. But, all we can do is take life one day at a time, guys. But I want everyone to go in peace. I want you to go work for what you want, whether it's to sing, corporate world, engineer. I want you to have multiple sources of income so that you can be creative. Remember, the less pressure you have on you, the more creative you are. Remember, if you have no pressure on you because you're living with your parents, you may not ever do anything because, you got to put a little pressure on yourself, So, obviously, there's exceptions if you're taking care of your parents, but, that could be a clusterfuck too, Tony, Canada Super Chat, I love you, brother. Keep showing up, 100 emoji, kick and bust, Sam. Tony, I love you, brother. Shout out to Canada. True appreciation, brother. Tony, the Canada border's open, I heard, man. The Canadians going to be down in Florida this winter, man. I better get down there before they buy up all the home bases, man. Tony, one of the home bases I was looking at, I looked at the tax records. It's a Canadian from Ontario. So maybe I'll buy a home base from a Canadian. I'll let you know if that pans out. I don't know yet. Shout out to you, Tony. Thank you. Gratitude. Thank you, Journey with Jordan. Thank you again to all my members. Gratitude in my heart. Again, hopefully my videos help you. Thank you again, everyone, for watching. Peace.